Welcome to the Muscombe History Group channel and to another of our short history of management programs. This is part 1 of negotiating for an outcome. And it's part of our Speaking Nicely series of programs, which was a short history of the way we say. Speaking nicely comes from the acronym NICE. Negotiate, inform, consult, and explain. The 4 different varieties of communication used by management. But the one we're going to look at today incorporates all 4 of these in competitive negotiation. That is to say, a negotiation where one of the participants is negotiating for a specific outcome. And in part 1, we'll be preparing the ground for OPECC. OPECC is another of our acronyms, and this time it stands for the 5 stages needed for a successful negotiation: open, probe, explain, close, and confirm. It will follow the pattern of negotiation that we've looked at already, with a sender and receiver on both sides of the table, each delivering an input, receiving feedback, and trying to arrive at a mutual agreement between the two. In negotiating for an outcome, it changes the roles of our sender and receiver. There is now a targeted outcome that one of the participants is trying to, let's say, sell. That participant now becomes the seller of an idea. The other person has a decision to make, so they become the prospect. The seller must have some form of offer to make that hopefully will fit what the prospect requires. Both parties must send out inputs and must receive from the other party feedback that will enable at least a small cloud to grow that may be the shape of a future agreement. As the seller listens more to the requirements, it should be possible to agree what that requirement is. And as the picture becomes clearer, a definite offer can be made that matches the requirement so that a mutual agreement can be arrived at between the parties. But the seller negotiating for an agreement must have a plan. What are the intended offers? Which is the best for the seller? Which is the most likely to be successful? What is the minimum offer that can be agreed with the prospect? What are the details of any offer that can be made? The facts, the features, the potential fits with the prospect's requirements, and what are the values that each will place on the outcome? What are the requirements? Where are the matching benefits? What are the value addeds? And most of all, the plan should plan for an opening. The opening plan must explain to the prospect how the negotiation will be conducted. It is a negotiation, so the prospect must be put at ease and encouraged to participate at every stage. The seller must initially take the position of a consultant, asking questions to understand the prospect's situation. The opening should explain how this will be done, some idea of how long it will take, and an idea of what is requested. The opening plan must aim to get the prospect's permission to probe the situation before moving on. Open, probe, explain, close, confirm. Let's take a look at the first two, the opening and the probe. The probe is when the seller is investigating the prospect's situation and looking for potential matches that will benefit the prospect by taking account of the situation. But the seller must earn the right to make such an in-depth investigation. Opening is when the seller must earn that right to investigate in detail. Once the probe phase has been agreed by the prospect, it must proceed as a structured investigation until the seller is able to define what is the best outcome to match the prospect's situation, what are the likely benefits of the offer that can be achieved, the potential value of those benefits to the prospect, how the offer can best be structured and presented, how do the benefits arise and how can they be explained, and what possible resistance and objections the prospect is likely to bring up. It is important that the seller is not tempted to explain the offer until there is a clear idea of what the offer is. The prospect will often expect to hear the offer early in the presentation. It is important for the seller to be clear on the entire offer before any explanation is made. Statements such as, "I would like to make sure I am offering you the best option possible," or "I need a little more information from you," can be useful in holding off the prospect's curiosity. Remember, the plan has already considered what are the intended offers, which is the best for the seller, which is the most likely to be successful, and what's the minimum offer that can be agreed with the prospect. So during the interview, the seller should be building the offer with care. Before we consider part 2, let's take a bit of time thinking about how you open your next negotiation for an outcome. What is your intended offer? How might you recognize a requirement? How might you plan the opening? When will it be appropriate to probe? How will you get the prospect to describe the whole situation? How will you avoid explaining your offer before you are ready? When will you know you are ready? You're playing the role of a consultant seller whose questions to the prospect must elicit responses that help you to build and understand the prospect's situation. So we know that our acronym stands for Open, Probe, Explain, Close, and Confirm. We've now dealt with Open and Probe. So Explain, Close, and Confirm will be covered in part 2 of Negotiating for an Outcome. Hopefully, we'll see you there. Goodbye for now.